All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Monday. Hi, Jen.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. All right, today we're going to talk about if we were opening a business tomorrow, what would we do differently than we did with Hello? We always start with our
Opening takes.
opening takes. What do you got, Jen?
So mine, I feel like I've been on a string of education opening takes, but that's mine again today. So for those of you who own a salon or are leading a team, a lot of times it's easy to be like, we need to take education and you're going to send your staff here, or you're going to bring people in. But how often do you actually learn with your staff? And we talk a lot about lead by action. So today, actually, after we done recording, I am heading to a class that I will be taking with my staff, with actually probably 75% of my staff. And it's always interesting to me, I think, or it's really important for your staff to see you as the owner, the leader, also in a position to be learning too. And I think there's a lot of different takes that can be, this is going to sound redundant, be taken out of watching someone who's always teaching you be also the learner. And now next week, actually, Todd and I will take a class together again for some business leadership. Not sure if it'll be good or not, but again, it's really important to work on your stuff too and put yourself in certain situations where you're learning too. And we always set out for our staff every year the plan for their education, but we also have a plan for our own education. And I think it's equally as important to also be putting yourself in those positions.
Agree. 100% education. Do it. Put yourself out there. Do it. All that fun stuff. Mine is super quick. So my opening take is, and this is the secret sauce for, I think, life once you have this figured out. Here's the deal. You are not the main character in anybody else's story.
That's a good one.
If you can just figure that out, you will be a much happier, healthier, stronger version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got for an opening take.
That's a good one.
All right. So I have some questions here that I answered. What would we do differently if we were going to open a business tomorrow after learning for another 6+ years with Hello? We had a combined 2 decades of business ownership before that. So what would we do differently if we were opening tomorrow? I have a list of questions. I answered them and I've got notes, but Jen, you do not know the questions.
I do
So
not.
I thought it would be fun. And there's 8 questions, just so you know. So
Okay.
we can get through this and you can get off to your class. Question number 1. What's the first thing you do differently? I can answer it.
Dang.
You can answer it.
Yeah, you can go first. Let me wrap my head around this.
Okay. So again, this isn't the most important thing. It's the first thing. We sign a lease tomorrow. You get the keys. What is something you would do differently than we did at Hello? My first thing was I would hire slower. When we opened Hello, we pretty much had a team of people. And to be fair, the people were fine. It wasn't anything, there's nothing wrong with anyone we had. There was one person I really didn't enjoy working with, but that's a different side note. But either way, excuse me. I would have hired slower because we assembled the team and then tried to fit them into the framework rather than hire for the framework. And I think that's something that I don't know if it necessarily stunted us, but we weren't able to grow with that first team. They just weren't, other than Ava, who's still on our team. They just weren't willing to change anything or grow or do anything. And if we had identified that first, it would have made life a lot easier. So that's my answer. That's the first thing I do differently.
I think I would, there's a few things. Understand our lease a lot better, what we're responsible for, what the landlord's responsible for. This has been just a thorn in my side, and understanding the building itself and really understanding that lease. We had a lawyer look at it and he was like, this is very fair. But I, looking back, would have liked to have understood more of it so that we could have been better prepared for certain things.
Okay. We'll accept it, that answer.
Okay, thanks.
And the question it was, you've already signed your lease. What would you focused on the business? But I think that's super important for people. So
I would have still signed it because the lawyer was like, this is a fair lease. But then, okay, so we're fair, I get it. And then sat back down with him maybe at some point, understanding like when things come up, like just a better understanding of the lease as a whole.
Yeah, I don't want you to change your answer at all because I think it's super important. So cool. All right, let's move on. Question number 2. What is something you waited too long to implement?
Oh.
What is something that today you say we should have done this much sooner?
I think that we had it implemented, which was like our hiring process, our systems, but I didn't buy into it quick enough. So I would go to my old habits of like, oh, you're good, you're hired, and leave Todd in an interview. And he's like, what is happening? This isn't how we do it. But like at my old salon that I own, that's how I did it. So we had the systems in place. I didn't adopt them and believe in them also and become part of Hello right from the bat. And I think a lot of that was I left my salon, we opened really quickly, and I didn't have time. And then COVID hit to wrap my mind around what Hello was going to be. And I just didn't get through some stuff to arrive at Hello as fast as I would have liked to, which is like where I am now, all in.
My answer for what is something we waited too long to implement, one-on-one meetings. So we started off with the typical staff meetings, and they are great for sharing information, but that could be an email or a text message. And I think that big staff meetings are almost a complete and total waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
One-on-one meetings, just a great way for you to discover your staff's goals, their frustrations, their ambitions, any blind spots that you might have, opportunities. And that's where your leadership can take over and guide everybody. Staff meetings are for information. One-on-ones are where you're going to build relationships.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thanks. Question number 3, dude. What would you stop worrying about much sooner? What's something that's consumed way too much energy in the early years of Hello?
All my staff's going to quit. All the time would be like, they're just going to quit. If we put this new system in place, if we change something, they're all going to leave. And first of all, it would be very rare that everyone's going to leave. And what I've learned over time is if you put those systems in place the right way, with confidence, with a backing to it and a strong foundation, most often it's absorbed really well and people celebrate these changes and look forward to them and they trust the process. But in my early years, that I think, and I see it a lot on Facebook, like I'm going to train them, they're going to leave, it's all my time. And then I quickly switched out of that mindset. And if you want to leave, then you're not part of what we're growing and you don't see our future. And that's totally okay. That's actually better. And I'm happy to grow whoever I can and show them growth opportunity for themselves. And here we are in a position where, and I'm not bragging, but we have a wait list and people wanting to work with us all the time.
Mine is similar, Jen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My answer is just trying to make everyone happy. And I do think that it was probably, I'm going to be honest, audience, I think it was probably more Jen than me, but we're partners. So ultimately it's both of us, right? And it came from a good place and we care about people. We wanted everyone to succeed. But over time, you realize that different people want different things. And Jen always says, I can't want more for somebody than they want for themselves. Mm-hmm. It's just not fair. And it's not fair to you because you're putting in all this effort that the person doesn't want or appreciate or enjoy or whatever. And it's not fair to the person because you're putting pressure on them that they don't even want.
Right.
So if you try to build your business around every preference, you're starting to build a business that doesn't really stand for anything. And that's a huge one. Trying to make everyone happy.
Awful. Is never going to happen.
It comes at the expense of building a great business, for sure.
I actually remember the moment we were talking to an employee. She still works for us, actually. And she had come to us with something. And I remember trying to problem solve. I was trying to think, how do we help her? How do we do this? And what she was asking or what she was saying, I was like, wait, her actions don't lead up to any of this. So even though she could see a future, this is what I want to do, she didn't want to do the work for it. And I remember leaving that meeting and within an hour or so, I was like, wait, I could see everything she could accomplish. But I'm like, I can't want more for her than she wants for herself, and I can't do the work. That's not on me. So I can lay out a plan, but she's got to follow it. And once I changed that, that was an aha moment for me, for sure, of I can't save the world, nor do I want to, but I definitely can show you how you can save yourself and get where you want to be. And I'm happy to help push you, but I'm not doing the work.
Yeah, Jen, I think some people believe that's leadership, is when you can make everyone happy. And they think that it's this juggling act of keeping all my employees happy and making sure that they all have everything they need and whatever, their lives are whatever, perfect. And
then you go home at the end of the night miserable and you don't know why.
And leadership is not making everybody happy. It's creating clarity for your business and for your employees so that they can thrive. And some people won't like your standards. It doesn't mean that your standards are wrong.
Right.
It means either those people aren't a good fit or they don't understand the why or whatever. Go back and listen to the episode on leadership that we did. I forget what number, but I talked about if somebody's not following one of your systems, for example, you have to ask yourself why. Do they not buy in? Do they think it's a bad idea? Do they just not believe you, et cetera, et cetera? And the right people become happier when the expectations become clearer. That's just the truth. That's what we found, at least. So someone out there can argue with it, but we're proving it. So there you have it. All right, let's move on. Question number 4. What would you spend more money on than you did the first time? So something today where you'd say, I wish we invested there sooner.
Oh.
My answer is a single word. If you want, I can go.
What is it?
Marketing.
Oh, I love that. The right marketing.
So for a couple, maybe few years, we treated marketing like something we'd get to. We would do it a little bit, and I would try to figure out a little bit. And then it was always the issue I had with my gym. My gym didn't really have an issue with retention. I would get people and they would stay and it would be great, but I would struggle to get more people. And I never was able to crack that. I never was able to figure out how to get more volume through the business. And now be careful with that, because volume isn't always your answer. If your retention sucks, you do not want volume. You're going to start getting all sorts of 1 and 2 star reviews. But if your retention is good, you're
ready for volume.
Yes, you are able to handle volume. Excuse me. So eventually we realized that you can have the best business, you can have the best salon in the town and still struggle if nobody knows you exist.
Yes.
And marketing didn't help make Hello any better than it was. It just helped more people discover what was already there.
This was interesting. I remember this too, when we had done this like Valpak and some other things that just didn't work out. And when Todd came to me with this marketing, again, I didn't really even understand it. Even the word SEO, people would throw it out there. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Search engine optimization. Cool. It's over my head. Look, there's a butterfly. This sounds very uninteresting. And then the price tag that came along with it, like when Todd laid that out, I was like, we can't afford that. And Todd was just like, we can't not afford it. There's no way we're going to grow this business. And we talk a lot about the sprint, the marathon. And this was an absolute marathon to put this investment in monthly and consistently every month do this to get a return that was going to take a bit of time. I think Todd laid out, it might take 6 months, it might take a year. So you're talking in a world right now where instant gratification is what we're looking for. That was not going to be the case here. And in a business that couldn't really afford this amount of money, but if we didn't do it, we weren't going to get ahead. So where could we cut? What could we do? And how could we make this happen? And we did. And the other side of that, amazing. The clients that come in, the amount of where we are on Google is amazing. But you have to be able to understand that it's a long game and that it's worth that investment. And you have to have the right people behind you that can show you the analytics behind it, that what it's doing. So that was a huge one. I would say marketing was great. And I wouldn't have known how to market. My marketing was like, I'll put on Facebook, we need clients. That's not marketing.
Yeah, what our marketing, so is that your answer too?
I'll go with that. Yeah, mine would be spend more money to have optimized our space sooner. So we have a fairly large space with some rooms that just were dead, not generating any income at all. And there were lots of plans for different things. One, I was like, oh, this could be a social media room, which would have been no return on investment. We didn't do that, thank goodness, but ended up using these other rooms. And now they generate some revenue, which is great.
Yeah, because of
And
marketing.
yeah, because of marketing, for
Imagine you
sure.
build
But
those rooms out and then no one knows they exist.
yeah, so the marketing was huge, but then obviously building out and using our space to generate more income and using dead space, just like adding the 2 stations, which we didn't need at the time, but really looking around our space and like, how can we maximize the space we're in to generate revenue wherever we can?
Yeah, I want to touch on marketing again real quick before we move on, because I think it's important for people. A lot of people will say word of mouth and this has got me to where I am. We're not trying to get where we are. We're trying to get beyond. So at the beginning of the year, you had your apprentice approaching her halfway mark, which means she can start taking clients on the floor on her own without you there.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought another person on that was fresh out of school. And we just recently brought on another person. So now there's 17 of us. And I'm not bragging about that number. I'm just saying that's what, so the marketing is what allowed us to scale. And
Right.
we can bring people on that are a good fit for Hello and not have to stress about how are we going to build them? Is there going to be enough clients? There are going to be enough clients. There's going to be plenty of clients. Right. And I think that is pretty powerful because we are in a position now where we can expand. And if we wanted to, we could probably hire another, I don't know, just off the top of my head without looking at any math, like probably another 5 people if we wanted to. Mm-hmm. And we could support that. And what does that mean? Why is that important? Well, we're creating jobs in our community. And there's a little teaser for next week's episode. But yeah, I think that's cool. And I think it's allowed us to do a lot of things that we wouldn't have been able to do. We would have been at the mercy of if people find us.
Right. Hoping.
Yeah, hoping, which is not a good business strategy.
No, really bad.
All right. Question number 5. What would you simplify? Something that maybe we made harder than it needed to be in the beginning. I can go first again if you need time.
Sure, go ahead.
I know it's not fair because I wrote the question, so I know them.
It's okay. I'm doing great here.
No, you're doing fabulous. You're doing wonderful. All right, what would we simplify? My answer is, again, one word: pricing. When we opened,
I like that.
Our pricing was based on what Jen had established with some upgrades.
Hot Mess Express.
And because Jen hadn't really had it organized, I think we opened with a spreadsheet of prices across 9 different, quote unquote levels. I hate that word because I don't really know what it means, and it didn't work. The prices were just weird and it didn't factor in the things that a business actually needs to factor in. And so eventually we sat down, and it wasn't too long, but eventually we sat down and we looked at how much does this service cost for us to deliver? There's a cost associated with. What about the operational cost? How are we factoring in electricity and water and insurance and all those things?
Yeah, on some of our prices, we were losing money.
Yeah, sustainability was the next thing. Is this sustainable? Because a lot of people will lose money on certain services and try to make it up on other services. Like, for example, I know people view, and I'm not saying it's not, but people view extensions as this luxury service. And because it's luxury, they pay less retail commission to their stylists because it's a lot of money, or however they look at it, right? They try to justify all these things, and the salon's making a bunch of money off of that. So other services, it's okay to lose on. No, that's not sustainable, right? And then what we did was we factored in time. How long does this take the person to provide? And when you start to look at that sort of stuff, which you need to base on math instead of hope, right? Again, hope is not a pricing strategy.
No.
When you start to use math and look at these things, you might realize that there are some services that you just shouldn't be offering, and that's okay.
Right.
If you can't make the numbers work, I wouldn't offer that service because losing money is not the point. And you're going to be salty and you're going to be irritated and you're going to be frustrated, and your staff's not going to want to do those services because why would they?
Right. I remember looking at some and I was like, oh, this has to go up a good amount. And I was thinking clients will never pay this. But at the end of the day, I'm like, well, then it is what it is because we can't have a negative here. That's crazy. It blew my mind. I had no idea. It's pretty crazy. Mine would be the hiring process. So I deal with when the stylists come in, they do a model, we go through certain things. Really, the model day, I let it be a free for all. Bring in a model. And what I was finding, which I didn't realize at the time is, and it was sweet, that some people were trying to impress me with their model and do more than they needed to do. And I'd be in this model day with them for 5-6 hours. And I'm like, what is happening here? And some stuff I realized after, like they had seen it on, I don't know, some social media platform. And so they were trying to repeat it. So like I thought it was cool or something. And with a few times, I realized, okay, I need to put a stronger parameter around this is what I need from you. This is what I need you to do. And I started even just letting them do it. And then I would come up with the education plan after. In the earlier days, I was almost trying to teach them while they were doing it. So I was just doing too much. So simplifying that process as how we have it now, it's pretty fantastic. And then coming up with an education plan after.
That's a good one, Jen.
Thanks.
All right. So this one is specific to one of our core values. And I was thinking about it because it's so obviously anybody that's listened to our show for any amount of time, even just this episode, you've mentioned education how many times? A dozen?
Yeah.
What would we do differently with education? Or would we? And do you want me to answer?
Sure.
My answer is honestly not much. It's education, obviously, one of our core values since day one. We have lost people because of how seriously we take education, because we push people, we challenge people, and we expect growth. And if we're being honest, I wouldn't change that. I love that it's part of what we do. I love that we mean it when we say it. We don't just have a salon where education is you just watch whoever's busy. I disagree with that. I don't think that's education.
No.
I don't see how.
That's people's ego, I feel.
Yeah, I don't see how.
Watch how good I can do
me
this.
Watching somebody work at full speed when I don't know what's happening is helping me. And now I'm not saying that watching somebody, there's not value, but when you have someone that's new, watching someone that's a professional is not gonna, it's happening too fast for them to process. I think education is one of the things that we got right from the beginning. It's one of our core values, and I don't think everything needs to be reinvented.
Agreed. I think for me, what I would change, and I've already changed it, is when we were building, we really needed people to be on the floor. And for some of those, I pushed too fast. And now I have a great system. And the way I do it is they have to test out on certain things with me so that the way I look at it now, and this is how I wrapped my mind around it, is if I'm not in the salon and they're doing that service, would I be worried that they could do it at the level that we want the Hello experience? So that's where we were in the beginning. I'd have certain times I'd see a client in their book and I'd be reaching out like, this is how you're going to do this. And then I'm like, obviously they're not ready. And even if they are ready, they're not ready to what I want. So what we quickly did was put in a system where now here's how we do it. Then you test out. You'll test out on me, which does two things. I know the service. I know how they perform it. If there was a complaint, I know exactly what their strengths and weaknesses of that. And also the clients can trust. And I've heard it so many times now. Everyone's been trained through Jen. And it just is, some people, it's not even trained. They're just do this service so that I know you can do it and it's at the level we want. And if we need to tweak it, we do. And some, it's a longer journey. But if some people aren't ready or weren't, we just work on those things. And it's just come to be making a stronger stylist over time.
Awesome. All right, two more. What industry advice would you completely ignore? So what noise would you tune out?
Oh.
Want me to go?
Sure.
Most of it. So here's the deal. I would ignore, if I was going to open a business tomorrow, I would ignore almost 100% of anything to do with the hair industry. And not because everyone's wrong, not because there's not smart people, but because most of the advice out there is attached to someone else's goals. You have one owner that wants 20 locations, another owner that wants a team of 6. How you get there, that's two different things.
Right.
You have somebody that wants freedom. You have somebody that wants wealth. You have somebody that wants education. A lot of people talk as if there's only one correct answer, and it's whatever they're selling.
Right.
I think in however many years, the last, say, 16 years or so, I've had one business mentor ever ask me what my goals were before putting me through some exercises to help me get further along. Again, I'm not saying the advice is bad. I'm just saying it's attached to somebody else's destination.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
a good mentor is somebody that helps you clarify your goals. Bad mentors assume that their goals should become yours.
Right.
And that's what we've seen a lot of,
Uh-huh.
especially in the hair industry. And
Agreed.
if you're out there and you're like, I need a business mentor, the best business advice that you're ever going to get is going to start with questions, not answers. If somebody rolls in and they're like, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do, but they haven't asked you any questions yet, run.
Yeah. Because they don't know your business or your plans. Mine would be to tune out if you're starting. So it was if you're starting a business, what would you tune out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, these
Yeah.
are all if you're starting a business.
Yeah. So your advice for your business should not, do not come from Facebook groups, Facebook, anything. It should come from you putting a team together that is business focused for your business, which is very similar to what Todd said. But I see all the time everyone turning to Facebook for advice from other owners who most often don't know what they're doing. So I'm not so sure why they're giving advice or why you even think Facebook is the platform to get advice for the business you're starting. We see all the time stylists go out and they open a business, I think, because they can do hair really well, they can run a business really well. Those are not at all the same. So you need to figure out who's your business team. Doesn't have to be salon related, but who's going to help put your business into the future and drive it. And that is not going to come from Facebook.
I like that one.
Thanks.
All right, last question, Jen. Let's wrap up. What would you keep exactly the same? What did we get right from the beginning? I would say our framework. So from day one, every decision had to answer 3 questions. Does this reinforce our mission? Does this move us closer to our vision? Does this align with our core values? And if we didn't get 3 yeses, it didn't happen. It's still how we operate today. It saved headaches. It saved time on making decisions. It saved probably arguments with Jen and I. I remember something Jen, I don't remember what it was, but I remember Jen came to me and was like, hey, I think we should do this. And I was like, okay, make it make sense. Make it fit the 3 questions. And that's our framework. And she was like, it doesn't really fit neatly into that. And she thought about it for a while and she was like, yeah, this probably isn't a good idea. And having that framework gives you your ability to say no. You cannot, as a business owner, say yes to every opportunity that presents itself. If you do, you're going to start to look like a coffee shop. You're going to start selling
a jewelry store
trinkets, and you're going to be doing all these things, and you're going to have consignment artwork on your walls, and you're not going to focus on your core services, which is hair. And what we set out to do was we do hair and have fun. That was day one. And having that framework truly protects us. I can't stress that enough. Now, Jen and I were in a different position than somebody maybe who's starting their first business. I had managed a bunch of businesses. Jen had worked for herself. Jen had built her salon for a decade. Then I built my gym for a decade. So we were in a position where we didn't need more answers. We needed more time to execute the right ones. And our problem wasn't necessarily direction. Our problem was speed, which goes back to the last answer with mentoring. We needed somebody to get us from A to B fast. We needed that speed so that we could grow the business. So the framework. You're muted.
I said that was great. I think I'm going to have to co-sign on this. I was going to say the name because I really do love the name of our business, Hello Hair Co. And it came from a place where Todd like kind of... Oh, I think I kind of have it, and you can chime in because you're better at this than me. I was obviously closing my last business, and Todd had come up with this idea of just hello hair. You're reinventing yourself, you're reintroducing yourself, and you're getting excited about doing hair again. And it just resonated so much. I also missed the mark in my last salon. The name of our salon had no what?
I said
It sucked. It had the word hair wasn't in it, salon wasn't in it. It was just a big miss. So I really wanted to make sure also the name we were putting out there, any branding we did, people knew who we are. My last salon, some people thought we were a recycling center from our name, which is just hilarious. So this name was really important to me that if people read it or saw it somewhere, that they understood right away what the services were we were offering and there was no confusion. But the idea of just reinventing and coming into where I was or where I was going, I really loved that. And it gave me some inspiration and a vision for the future. And it got me excited. So that was really cool. But the framework for sure helped a lot. And I remember those days when Todd would be like, make it make sense. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. Why do I have to do this? But it's why we are where we are today. And when you make it make sense, there's no argument. It's just, does this make sense? And then if it didn't, there were some times where Todd's like, do we need to change our alignment? Is there something wrong? Are we moving in a new direction? But those really did help keep
The
us
framework
on the
forces you to ask the questions that you
yeah,
really need to
it kept us
answer.
on path. It kept my brain on path, which I very much need.
I want to touch on real quick the name. So Hello Hair was something that when I feel like it was on both of our lists, maybe. I don't remember.
Maybe.
So either way, Hello Hair was something that Jen had. I would say you went through a rough patch dissolving your business. And I
Yes.
don't know if you fell out of love with hair, but you weren't as into hair as you had been your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And Hello Hair was sort of like hello again. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
Jen. And Hello Hair for me was I had never done hair. I had never touched hair. I had never even done a haircut. And I just went to hair school to basically learn the language, right? And be able to participate and build this business. So for me, it was completely different. It wasn't like, oh, hello again. It was hello, as in first time.
I'm here.
And so
Let's do
it
this.
just sort of fit. And Hello Hair Co., the co has always been collaborative, Hello Hair Collaborative. And people always say company, and I don't correct them, but for us, that was part of who we were. It was two sides of the equation collaborating on this business and coming together. So it started as Jen and I, and now we're up to, like I said, 17 and growing. And yeah, that's that. In closing, real quick, I would say that if we were going to build a salon business tomorrow, that we would probably build what we've already built. We'd build Hello Hair again. We would just do so faster. If you go back and listen to my answers and Jen's answers, I think it was all about speed. I don't think we were far off on anything. It was just, how do we get there quicker?
Right. Love it.
All right.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was
Thanks.
fun.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Have a great day.